right, today we're in the middle of chapter 6. Remember, Kelsey and Simon both bumped their head and had black eyes after running into each other during Mr. Edinopolis's game. When I was alone, I thought about the twirling ballerina. I can spin on my hamster wheel or in my hamster ball, but twirling looks like fun. I stood up to twirl. I stood up and tried to twirl, but I tumbled head over toes instead. Somersaults are fun, unless you aren't planning on one. I got up and tried again. This time, I managed to twirl around once, but something was missing. The music! I knew that it would take my friends a while to get ice cream, so I jiggled my lock that doesn't lock and pushed on it. Once I was out of my cage, I hurried over to the pink box. I could barely reach the lid, and the first time I pushed, the lid popped up and crashed right back down. But even standing on my tippy toes, I wasn't tall enough to open it. However, I didn't give up easily. So I scurried over to the side of the box near the hinge, and finally, I pushed with all my might, and the lid swung open. Whew, that lid was heavy. The music began to play, and I raced to the front of the box to watch the pretty little ballerina go round and round. Kelsey was right. The ballerina was a graceful dancer. I watched her whirl and twirl until I felt a little dizzy. Then I raised myself up and tried twirling again. I stood up, up, up on my toes and spun myself around in a circle. Then I made another circle, and another. I was twirling and not falling over. I wish Kelsey could see me. If a furry little hamster could learn to twirl gracefully, I knew she could too. Although I was unhappy about Mrs. Brisbane leaving room 26, I hoped she would enjoy dancing as much as I was. My twirling was interrupted by a loud bang and footsteps. Kelsey and Simon were back! I raced to my cage and pulled the door behind me. The ballerina was still dancing, and the music was playing. Humphrey, we brought you a strawberry, Kelsey shouted as she raced into the room. Simon was right behind her. Where's the music coming from? My box, Kelsey said. That's funny. It was closed when I left. Simon laughed. Maybe Humphrey opened it. That made Kelsey laugh. Sure, it was Humphrey. While the music still going, it was my chance to show Kelsey that anybody could learn to twirl, even a hamster. I got up on my toes and spun around again and again. Look, Humphrey's dancing, Simon pointed at me. Kelsey leaned to watch. He makes it look easy, she said. They giggled, of course. The music was getting slower and slower. So was I. Can you make it go again? Simon asked. Kelsey closed the lid and opened it again. The music was back to speed, and the ballerina was spinning. Let's do a Humphrey dance, Simon said. He started twirling around the room and laughing. Kelsey chuckled and started twirling again, too. The trick is to pick one place to look, Simon said. Each time you spin around, look at that spot. He was a pretty good twirler. Hey, it works, Kelsey admitted. She wasn't staggering. She wasn't stumbling. She was just spinning. The music slowed down again, and we all stopped dancing. That reminds me. I have to start ballet lessons tomorrow, Kelsey said. I don't see how I'll ever dance on my toes. My sister takes ballet. You don't start out on your toes. You start out with simple stuff, he said. Slow Down Simon's sister was Stop Giggling Gail. She'd been in Mrs. Brisbane's class last year. I knew she was a great laugher, but I didn't know she took ballet lessons too. Really? Kelsey said. Really, Simon said. Let's watch Humphrey dance again, he said. So I danced some more until it was finally time for Simon to go home. Before she went to bed that night, Kelsey watched the music box ballerina again for a while. That would be nice to have a pretty pink tutu like that, she said. Maybe I'll like ballet after all. Tutu? I was pie-whacked until I realized she was talking about the dress. Well, I liked ballet, but there was no way I was going to wear a pink tutu. Ever. I guess Kelsey read my mind, because she said, of course, boy ballet dancers don't dress like that. They wear tights, and they don't dance up on their toes, but they lift the girl dancers way up in the air. Whew, I was relieved to learn that. Kelsey slept well that night, and even though I'm usually awake for some of the night, I slept unsqueakably well too. I guess it was all that twirling. On Saturday afternoon, Kelsey left for her dance class. I crossed my toes and hoped she would enjoy her first lesson. While she was gone, I couldn't resist leaving my cage to watch the tiny ballerina dance again. I made sure I was back in my cage long before Kelsey got back. Humphrey, Humphrey, she shouted as she raced into the room. Wait until I show you. She stood in front of my cage and noticed that the music box was open. I closed that before I left, she said. Maybe there's something wrong with the lid. I didn't squeak one word. Anyway, I want to show you what I learned at ballet class, she said. Good, 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 I replied. She pointed at her shiny pink shoes. These are my ballet slippers, she said. Next, she showed me 5 positions for the feet, and then she did some very graceful dipping moves. It was so much fun, Humphrey, and I can be graceful. I just have to pay attention to what I'm doing. That's what our teacher said, Kelsey explained. At the end of our class, we got to dance around the room with scarves. It was beautiful. The next day, Kelsey's eye was a rainbow of colors, but it didn't seem to bother her. She spent a long time practicing the 5 positions. I practiced too, but I guess a hamster's feet work a little differently than human feet. The first 3 positions weren't too bad, but the 4th and 5th were, well, let's just say I'm going to have to practice a whole lot more and pay attention to what I'm doing. Humphrey's Detectionary. I don't know if Sherlock Holmes ever tried ballet dancing, but he should have, because it's fun, fun, fun. That's where we'll stop for today. We'll pick it up with Chapter 7 tomorrow.